Hey folks, Jonathan here. Alright, this episode of History from the Hardware Store, we're going to talk about Schrader valves and a couple other valves that were made, sort of, I guess, competition to Schrader valves. But Schrader valves were invented by August Schrader, and in 1844 he started the A. Schrader Company, but it didn't have anything to do with the Schrader valves. It had to do with rubber products. Most of the concentration was on life preservers, blow-up life preservers, and what they called floating pillows, stuff like that, for safety. So it wasn't until 1891 that he invented the Schrader valve, and he actually patented it in 1893. The Schrader valve, which you'll see in this box, is an original old set. These were made by Schrader. They weren't made by the company that bought Schrader. Schrader valves are not only used in every vehicle in the United States and in the world, but they also used in motorcycles and bicycles and refrigeration, air conditioning, fuel injection systems, scuba gear, fire extinguishers, a lot of different stuff where you need a valve. He was into diving helmets also. In the refrigeration, this is the Schrader valve is actually just a valve for service. The actual cap is the primary seal, and they don't depend on the Schrader valve for the primary seal. Okay folks, now we're going to talk about the three types of valves. Alright, so we've got the Schraders. This is the old Schrader. We'll compare the old one to a new one. Now, another company actually bought Schrader out. This is the old valve. There's the newer valve. Same basic design, same company. Older and newer. And believe it or not, you could unscrew this one and screw this one directly into place of it, and it'll still work. Here we have a Presta valve. Okay, and I tried my best here. It's hard to get to be able to see, and I know I got a shadow there, but as you can see, we've got this one unscrewed. And one thing about it is when you put air in and then you tighten this up, and it tightens up just like this, you can't push that in and be able to get air out. It sort of works like a safety. The difference in this and the Schrader also is the stem diameter is 6 millimeter. The stem, and not this, but the actual stem itself, the tire stem, is 6 millimeter on these, and they're 8 millimeter on these. Now, when you start talking about, you know, some of the racing bikes where they've got really skinny rims, that's why, you know, a lot of them will be using the Presta valve instead of the Schrader. Now, the other valve is a Woods valve, also known as a UK valve, Dunlop valve. So, the difference in this valve, okay, first it fills with the same fitting as the Presta. Now, they make adapters to be able to fill a Presta or a Dunlop using a Schrader end, and it just adapts to it. The difference in these are the fact that you can actually take the valve core out without a special tool. It's right here, so that's it. And they're smaller here, but the actual stem diameter is the same as a Schrader valve. So you're not saving anything on the size down lower. These are still used mainly bicycles, bicycle tubes, stuff like that. But, you know, overall the Schrader valve completely won out. You know, he was the one that patented, and he's the one that built them. There are little differences, like as you can see, there's a longer and a shorter, and they make them even longer than that, valve stems. And then this one, if you notice, it's a bigger diameter, and this is what I use. This is an old one, I mean, it's no good, but this is the size I use when I go from a tube style rim and I make it into a tubeless. It takes a little bit bigger valve, and these are too small. Alright, another thing that Schrader did because of the dirt getting in is he was the one that invented the tire cap. But this was the tire cap, which is like what you see on Model Ts the old cars, and they screw on. The tire valve would screw down, and this just takes a regular Schrader valve. In 1929, Scoville Manufacturing, Scovill, actually bought out Schrader. And even though Schrader was being run by August Schrader's son, he did keep the name, and he did keep making some valves. And you'll find that when you find these small packets like this, sometimes they'll say A. Schrader's Son Incorporated, and sometimes they will say Scoville Manufacturing Company. These just happen to be some of the originals from Schrader and not from Scoville. But I thought it was a neat deal that Schrader actually, won out, and, something that was invented 1891 and actually is still being used, and pretty much, the same thing. It's, your manufacturing's made a little different, and, they've changed it a little bit, but it's basically the same design. And like I said, you could put this tire valve in or this tire valve in, and they'll both fit in place. We had a couple people that was right about our tool. This is actually for welding pipe, and you can use it for other things, but it was mainly invented for pipe. When there's two pieces of pipe coming up together, you would slip this in between the two and turn it, and you would be able to run this down on it and then set your distance of your pipe. So if you had two different thickness pipe, you could actually bring them to the exact same center and weld them together, and that was basically what it was for. Appreciate everybody watching. Till next time, bye.